Dear students and viewers, welcome to the digital classroom of Cambrian College. This is Amitab with you again with a new lesson. And lesson 1 of unit 7 will be discussed today, and the title of the lesson 1 is How Your Brain Negotiates a Traffic. Let's come to the point. At the end of the lesson, you will be able to comprehend the requirements for driving, analyze the difference between highways and racing circuit, and draw an analytical comparison between CPU and human brain, which is called a sophisticated machines. These are the learning outcomes of today's class. Measures to be taken, how to drive. What sort of measures to be taken while driving a vehicle? External controlling system. What are the external controlling system? And these external controlling systems are called visible. What are the external controlling systems? While driving, a driver needs to keep his hand or her hand on the steering and horn and feet on accelerator and brake. These are the external mechanism of vehicles, and these are very much visible. So while driving, a driver has to keep steering and horn in hands. This has been discussed earlier, and brake and accelerator under feet. These are the external controlling system which are visible, required while driving a vehicle. Then internal mechanism. These are invisible. Why is it called invisible? Will be discussed. So regarding internal mechanism, what are the requirements are to be followed? Keep eyes open, looking ahead, left and right. While driving, a driver needs to keep his eyes open, otherwise there will be an accident. And leave no room for fantasy. This phrasal expression will be discussed in the next slide. That means leave no room for fantasy means while driving, a driver shouldn't indulge in any sort of imagination or fantasy, and he will have to have readiness to encounter unexpected situation. He or she will always be ready to face unexpected situation. He may at any moment face or encounter unexpected situation while driving. So he will have to be ready. A driver will have to be ready to face unexpected situations. Then keep brain free from hazards. That means while driving, a driver should keep his brain free from any sort of complications. So in that case, it is said that a driver should keep brain free from hazards. Next, have a sophistication of brain. As it is earlier said that a brain is called a sophisticated machine. So while driving, the sophistication of your brain is very much required. So you will have to have the sophistication of brain while driving. Otherwise, it is not possible to drive on the highways or on the racing circuits without applying the sophistication of brain. These requirements are to be met while driving a vehicle, and these are not seen. For that reason, it is said that these are invisible requirements, and these are the internal mechanism of brain. So external and internal mechanisms are to be maintained in a very simultaneous way while driving. Then let's discuss the phrasal expression, keep yourself cool. The passage, in the passage it is stated that keep yourself cool. What does it mean? That means while driving, a driver needs to keep his brain cool and calm. So to whom this phrasal expression is conveyed? This line is directed to the drivers. That means this line is said for the drivers, and the drivers are advised to remain cool in a practical situation or while driving. That means while driving, a driver is advised to remain calm and cool, and this message is conveyed to the drivers with this phrasal expression, keep yourself cool. Then next, come across another phrasal expression, leave no room for fantasy. What does it mean? This expression is also directed to the drivers, and it is said that while driving, they are asked not to indulge in fantasy. They are asked not to indulge in any sort of imagination, fantasy. So they will be away from fantasy while driving cars. Then have readiness to encounter unexpected situations. These sort of requirements have been stated in one of the slides, and these are visible requirements. Here in a very detailed way, this expression has been cleared in this slide. The next, have readiness to encounter unexpected situation. That means drivers are advised to be ready to encounter any sort of unexpected behavior resulting from pedestrians or any whimsical vehicles. So always a driver needs to be ready to encounter any sort of unexpected situation. So he must have readiness. Here in this lesson, human brain has been compared with CPU. What is the meaning of CPU? Central processing unit. Yes, human brain has been compared with CPU. How? CPU, what is CPU? CPU, what is the function of a CPU? CPU executes and coordinates all the function of a computer. What does CPU do? CPU executes and coordinates the function of a computer. Similarly, human brain coordinates and executes the function of human body. CPU executes and coordinates the function of a computer. On the other hand, human brain executes and coordinates the function of a human body. There lies the similarity. For that reason, CPU is compared with human brain, or human brain is compared with CPU. So analogy has been drawn on the basis of this similarity. Then these similarities. Human brain has been discussed in a very broader way. In that case, the most sophisticated machine. Human brain is called the most sophisticated machine, and human brain is intelligent by nature, and it works on ever-changing situation. Whatever the situation is, it may work on any sort of situation, ever-changing situations and standards of judges. But on the other hand, CPU is artificially intelligent machine. It is intelligent by nature. Human brain is intelligent by nature. On the other hand, CPU is artificially intelligent machine. There lies the difference. And CPU is programmed to do specific jobs under fixed conditions. CPU works according to the situation programmed within itself. But human brain works on ever-changing situation. CPU cannot work on ever-changing situation. It can work only on the basis of the situation programmed by the programmers. But there is no programmers regarding human brain. It can work on ever-changing situation, but CPU cannot work on ever-changing situation. It works according to the fact programmed. So there lies dissimilarities. But the main fact that differentiates the difference between human brain and computer is that conscience. Conscience makes difference between computer and human brain. We human beings have conscience, but CPU doesn't have. This is the focal point that differentiates between computer and human brain. For that reason, it is said that conscience differentiates us from a computer. This is the main fact. The difference between a common driver and F1 driver, where lies the difference between common driver and F1 driver? F1 driver means Formula 1 driver. A common driver. A common driver has to take the passengers. What are the function of a common driver? A common driver has to take the passengers to the destination safely. It is his or her sole responsibility. He has to maintain the traffic rules. He is bound to maintain the traffic rules. Otherwise, there will be accident. But on the other hand, F1 driver, his sole intention is to win the race. common driver's sole intention is to reach the passengers to the destination, to take the passengers to the destinations, but F1 driver's sole intention is to win the race. For that reason, he needs speed, but he doesn't need speed. He doesn't need to maintain traffic rules. On the other hand, common drivers needs to maintain traffic rules. These are the differences between a common driver and F1 driver. These differences are not mentioned in the passage, but you may ask to write down the differences a common driver and F1 driver. For that reason, the differences have been stated in this slide for your clear understanding. Then what is racing circuit? We will come across the term racing circuit. The racing circuit refers to the racing track. This is a track, racing track, which are constructed for racing vehicles. That means for the convenience of the racing vehicles, racing track has been constructed. For that reason, it is said that racing circuit refers to the racing track constructed for racing vehicles. Then, where lies the difference between highways and racing circuit? And the passage says that while driving, a driver should not get confused regarding the idea of highways and racing circuits. For that reason, it says that difference between traffic in the roads and highways and racing circuits must not be blurring inside you. While driving your vehicles on the highways, you can think yourself that you are driving on racing circuit. There lies the problem. So while driving on the highways, you should not think yourself that you are the driver of the racing circuit. There may face otherwise fatal accidents. So this should not be blurred inside you. Then sophistication of human brain. It is said that the passage says that human brain is a sophisticated machine. And human brain has a sophistication. What was the reason of having sophistication? Human brain is called the most sophisticated machine because, why is it called the most sophisticated machine? It is called the sophisticated machine because it can cope with ever-changing situation. This information has been discussed earlier, though. So it has been clearly stated why human brain is called sophisticated machine, because it can cope with ever-changing situation. Whatever the situation is, it can easily cope with and enables a person to meet new circumstances. So it enables a person to meet new circumstances and to deal with ever-changing situations. For that reason, it is called, that means human brain is called the most sophisticated machine. So it is called the most sophisticated machine on two ideas, as it can work on ever-changing situation and it enables a person to meet with a new situation or circumstances. The passage says that the conditions in the traffic keep invariably, means always changing. Traffic always changes, we see these. So the sophistication of brain must be at work while driving. This is the core factor of the sophistication of brain. While driving, you will have to have sophistication. You have sophistication, but you will have to keep the sophistication working. That means sophistication of brain must be at work while driving. So these are the important fact. And what is the theme of the passage? Whenever after going through this passage, if you are asked about the theme, what can be the theme? So, natural intelligence, we have discussed about natural intelligence, that means human brain. We have also discussed artificial intelligence. So where lies the difference? It is said that after going through this passage, the idea has been came to us that natural intelligence is superior to any sort of artificial intelligence. This can be the theme of this passage. Then the passage states that you must restrain yourself and never imagine yourself to be a Michael Schumacher driving a F1 at 300 miles per hour. This means this is the person. You can see the image of Michael Schumacher. He is used to driving at high speed, 300 miles per hour. So while driving, you shouldn't think yourself as Michael Schumacher, and you should restrain yourself about the speed. So this is the point. So what does it denote? While driving, a driver is advised not to drive like Michael Schumacher. Considering the roads to be a racing circuit, he is not allowed to consider the roads as a racing circuit. So she should not be confused. So we have come across the function of human brain. The function of human brain has not been clearly stated. It's a very roundabout way the function of human brain has been stated. So I have represented in a very synchronized and organized way what are the functions of human brain. Works invisibly. Yes, it works invisibly. The function of human brain cannot be seen. For that reason, it says that the human brain works invisibly. Yes, we can support this information. Works like CPU. Yes, human brain has been compared with CPU. That means in a very roundabout way, we can say that human brain works like CPU. Yes, we can take this information granted. Works intelligently. Yes, human brain is intelligent by nature. The book states it. So we can say that the human brain works intelligently. Human brain has conscience, and that conscience, that factors determines that we are different. That means human brain is different from CPU. So we can say that human brain has conscience. Okay, human brain operates successfully on ever-changing situation. This information has been stated in the slides. So we can say that human brain operates successfully on ever-changing situation. Then it works with sophistication. The passage says that human brain works with sophistication. So we can state this information regarding maintaining the characteristics of human brain. So after going through this passage, you will be able to answer to these questions, and basically the answers of these questions have been discussed directly in the slides. So from 1 to 7 you can easily write down the answers after having a great concentration on this passage. You can easily fill the gaps if you go through this passage. Before going through the passage, if you watch this video carefully, you will have to have a proper understanding on this passage, and on the basis of your proper understanding you can easily fill the gaps up. I think so. There will be no problem. And there lies a flowchart. These have been given for you to practice. After doing this, you can take the snapshot of it and send it to the teachers to have an overview. Based on the reading of the passage, make short notes in each of the boxes describing how to drive. How to drive and what are the requirements of driving have been discussed. You are to put these in the boxes following the rules regarding the formation of flowchart. After following the rules and strategies of flowchart, you can easily put the information that supports the requirements of driving vehicles. You can easily put the information. And next one, based on your reading of the passage, make short notes in each of the boxes in the flowchart showing what you have to do when you are in driving seat. That means similar questions have been given in a very tricky way. In that case, as having the steering and horns in ing form has been represented, so you will have to put this information with ing form. I think this information is clear to you. Then another flowchart, in the flowchart showing the characteristics of human brain. These characteristics of human brain have been discussed in one of the slides, so you can easily put the characteristics in an ing form. In the rest of the boxes, I think you can easily put this information after going through this video and after having a proper understanding of this lesson. Hope you have enjoyed this video, and I think this video will help you to have clear understanding of the passage. Hope you will be with us. Thanks to you.